In this video, we're going to discuss percent of change. And percent of change has a very specific setup. So you guys have a little ratio set up here. So it says percent of change ratio of amount of change compared to original amount. We know when we experience change, the numbers, the values, the temperatures go up or down. So when you have an increase, we would call this percent increase. And when the values are going down, it's going to be percent decrease. All right, let's take a look at our examples. We have Marianne. She bought $30 slow cooker for $20. So definitely got it on the discount, at the discount. And so we're asked, find the percent of change and classifies it as a percent decrease or increase. So I've already mentioned discount. So yes, you guys are, again, applying some common sense here. The price decrease, so she's saving money. So that would be percent decrease. And so that's how we would be classifying. Let's go ahead and find that value. So in our ratio, it's super important to understand what values are going to be happening here. The whole concept is called percent of change. So we're going to determine what was that amount of change. All right, so we will have 30 minus 20. And the original amount was 30. And so from here we would say, okay, the change was $10. Original was 30. And hopefully you guys are recognizing this is our repeating decimal. We had that scenario not too long ago. When it's repeating decimal, we would say it's 33.3 repeating percent decrease. I'm not going to write percent decrease. So in other words, guys, your practice with discounts and sales really plays right along here. Instead of telling you how much they decreased the price, they're just telling you what is the new price. And you try to determine, well, is it worth my time? Did they really decrease it? Or they just decreased it a little bit? So it's an interesting way of shopping because not, every retail store does something different. Some would just say, hey, 25% off sale, and you need to determine what would be your new price. In some stores, they put new price tag on your item, and you need to determine, well, is it worth my time? Did they just reduce it by 5% or 10% and so on? All right, let's try a little bit more. And our examples are not going to just stay with the prices. Okay, so percent of change can apply to a variety of topics. So for question number 1, we have last week Joe ran 45 miles. This week he ran 34 miles. So again, common sense. First of all, you can say, oh, it is a decrease because Joe is running less miles. All right, let's break this down. So again, it's change over original. 45 minus 34. And don't forget, guys, what was the original? What happened first? Yeah, 45 miles. So we kind of need to follow through the time frame. Oh, okay, yes, it's. And so 45 minus 34 will give us 11. 11 over 45. Will be equaling 24%. Again, we have the value as a decimal when you guys do that division, and then we are writing it out as a percent value. All right, number 3, Circle Club has 120 members this year, compared to 85 members last year. So now, look at this, guys. Your whole statement really changed this year versus last year. So when we set up our ratio, we need to make sure that we say that last year was that original amount, guys. So that's how they know, is membership growing or is it not growing? So original number was 85. Okay, the change in membership, 120 minus 85. Okay, so I want to make sure that you were not just taking the numbers as they were. You really need to do a little bit more prep on those. And so we will have 35 over 85. We can always reduce. We've talked about this in class. 35 and 85 both divisible by 5. And just to, again, just give you some smaller numbers to work with. Okay, 7 over 17. It's not going to be a super nice number, but it's okay. We can deal with it and then just around from there. So when you divide, you're going to come up with 412, and so we will convert to a percent. And yes, we have an increase in membership. With the decimals, guys, a lot of times in percent, well, we are going to get our answers as a positive number either way. So we got decimals when we divided, we converted it to percent, and we're keeping it as, of course, positive number. But in these kinds of questions, we just applying common sense. What's going on with our numbers? What's going on with our values? Increase versus decrease based on how your numbers are behaving. All right, number 2, computer store changed the price of laptop from $250 to $290. Oh, it's like a markup. That's an excellent discussion that we had. So, original change. And if you can do this in your head, you can definitely, you don't have to write this out, but this is super important. It's not just these numbers that going in. So 250 was the original amount. The change in price is $40. Okay. Again, I'll do the work for us. And we're going to have 1600. Again, a little bit of rounding here. And we do know we had an increase in price. So that could be the markup that this particular store is charging. All right, then the last question for your video. Old car seat has a maximum weight of 40 pounds. New car seat is 70. Okay. So old is the same as original versus the change. How much more can her car seat accommodate? 30 pounds. 70 minus 40. So 30 pounds more. Okay. It's increase in capacity or increase in the strength of that car seat. Original was 40. Okay. Then we're reducing to come up with 75 hundredths or 75% increase.